But yeah, I think one thing that is very important to mention is even though, I had a good time, you had a good time, not everyone's placement is a great time. Whether it's to do with issues within the workplace itself, whether it's to do with just global issues. So I know for a lot of people, when it came to them actually, like when I was on placement and the year below me were looking for placement, obviously COVID happened. So it meant that a lot of organizations turned around and were just like, well, we could offer placements, but we're trying to save as much money as we can. So a lot of them weren't able to do that like placement year or like didn't have the best experience. But yes, I know you mentioned that you've got a story.
Yeah. So at Brunel, you can do the thin sandwich and the thick sandwich. The thick sandwich is one whole year of placement, and the thin is like in second year you do one term of placement, and then in third year you do another term of placement. And my second year, my first placement was Mexico. Incredible experience. I got back, and then a couple of months later, COVID hit, and it was a horrible time. For many different reasons, but when it came to my second placement opportunity, I couldn't go abroad because of lockdown. It was very hard to get an internship. Everything was closed, and I found myself in quite a difficult space. I want to say fortunately, but the experience was not that great. But I got just a job at a hospital on Harley Street, and I was not treated well. There were some colleagues that were not nice to me. There were things that shouldn't have been said. My hours were horrible. I was expected to get there at ridiculously early times, and this was during lockdown and stuff. So I was commuting to Central like completely by myself. Yeah. Like it was very, very weird time. But again, all experiences have worth, positive and negative. And kind of after that experience, I really learned that in a working environment, if you are not assertive, you will get treated really, really badly. Yep. And that's something that I think interns really suffer with. So there's like the benefit of doing placement year because of internships, but it's also the thing that, it's quite difficult, The work that you're doing doesn't reflect the pay that you're receiving, and for all sorts of reasons. But I find that those experiences are very, very crucial because it taught me that when I do get a full-time job, I need to sign up to a union. Yeah. I need to be more active in negotiating what I actually want from a work environment. I need to be able to speak up for myself. I need to not tolerate lots of things and then at one point, not be able to cope anymore. If something arises, I need to deal with it in the moment that it takes place, Lots of things. It really encouraged me to become a lot more assertive. And I guess that is still a journey in itself. I'm not the most assertive person, but it really did. It was an eye-opener and I think a very important one. So not... Because we've been painting this picture of like placements being like the best thing ever. And I just wanted to say that it does not go to plan 100%. and you might actually have a bad experience, but I think that those experiences are worthwhile anyway.
100%.
No,
I definitely agree because I feel like even like I said, like both of my placement experiences were not like very bad as a whole, but there were moments where, like you said, like there were things that happened either to myself or to other colleagues, and I was just like, no, this isn't okay. Yeah, and I was a bit like, is this really like what workplaces are meant to be like? Yeah, and there was just a lot that and I think what's really to me, what I find really interesting, and that's why my my undergrad placement advisor, my undergrad placement manager, like one of the reasons why I really like that we're still in touch is for me, she was very like even to this day she still pushes me, but she was one of those people that was just like, no, like she was just like, I know you're like I know you're like me in a workplace. Like I'm pretty sure even like in this like current job, people. So yeah, let me give a bit of context. As I say, like sometimes I just like thinking too many thoughts at once. I'm just like
I'm the same,
honestly. But a bit of context is so last week this day, like the day we're recording, I might at some point release a video when I get it and some photos. But I got to host an event at my workplace. They were doing a showcase and I got to host it. And a lot of people were just like, wow, you're like really good at hosting. Like you did a really good job. Like you're a natural presenter. You miss like maybe presenting's where you should be. BBC if you want me. You know how to find me. But I think one of the funny things with it was like a lot of people, like for me in a workplace, especially if it's a new one, I'm always like a bit like just not necessarily super reserved, but I'm a bit like, I just keep to myself because I'm like, I want to see the environment. I want to see how people
Scout the area.
Exactly.
Know where to fit in,
exactly.
where not to.
And I think what was really good for me about my old manager from undergrad placement is she turned around and she was just like to me, like she said it when I was working there, but then she mentioned before I did my graduation speech. So as I mentioned in the past, I didn't tell anyone about that speech. I kept it from my family, kept it from like my friends, kept it from my workplace, kept it from the podcast team. Literally just told them like, oh yeah, at my graduation ceremony, there's going to be something related to pick up the mic. Just keep an eye out. Even my family, I told my sister. So like my graduation ceremony is this time. I know you can't be there, but I said like just keep watching. Something's going to happen. I don't know when, but she was just like, what's going on? Like, are you getting an award or something? I was like, I don't know.
I love the suspicion.
Yeah, I was just I'm like, even when I was coming back late from work because I was like doing practices. Like my parents were like, why are you back late? I was like, oh, you know, work was just tough today, so it meant I just had to stay a bit later. And then it was funny because on the day my dad almost caught me because he was just like, oh, you need to get ready to go for graduation. I was there like practicing my speech and I was like, oh yeah, sick. I'm just like, luckily you didn't see. But the reason why I mentioned that is because she turned around to me and she said like, I guess it was on this whole idea about being assertive and like confident in your skills. Because she turned around and said, when it came to the speech, she was just like, she was like, I know how like good you are. Like, I know how confident you can be. I know how passionate you can be about things. I know how engaging you can be to people. I know how much you care about people. And she said, I know, like, you might not know how much you do it, but I can see, like, I know where you can go. And she was like, I know how passionate and like how good you are. And I know that you might not see that and you might not realize like what you're doing is big, but it is. And I want this speech to be like that. And I think it links to that whole idea about like, knowing about your, like, whether it's your learning style or who you are as a person as a whole, because I look back on, like, I always think about that advice and I'm just like, she is right. Because sometimes, like I said, whether it's a new workplace or like in a new environment, I can sometimes be a bit reserved and keep to myself. But like I said, if I find someone that I gel with, I will talk to them. Like, I'll offer them advice. I mean, I'll offer advice in general, but like I will have a conversation with them and I will speak to them about stuff. So for me, I just found it really interesting because now I look, like we said, like when I go into new organizations or even like as a team, if there's someone that says they want to help out with the podcast, I look back on that and I look back on the way, like especially that manager, like the way she led the team, the way she like got people involved. Because I'm not saying like none of my other managers did this, but one key thing that she always taught me was there's never like a job too hard for you, whether you're like a manager, you're a director, whatever. There's never a job that's too hard for you to do. Like if I can't do it, I can't ask you to do it. So like I love it because she was just like, oh yeah, I get involved. So when I started, she was like, I get involved in the workshops that we do with the young children. She says like, if I can attend like as many as possible, like I will. She said like, I always make sure everyone's like fed, is looked after properly. And she said the reason why is because of two things. She said, one, if I'm telling you do this or clean this or do this and I can't do it, then I'm making it seeming like I'm somehow more important than you and I'm just giving you this job because I don't want to do it. And she was like, that's, as a manager or as a leader in general, you shouldn't be like that. And she was just like, people will respect you. And she said that was one of the things that she liked about me as a whole, was because she said people on the team, because when I joined, I didn't know anyone on this team. I was like, I didn't know anyone. I came in, I was working with, and what's funny is when you do a placement at Brunel, obviously you're still a student, but you're working with other students, but technically you're a staff member. So
it's a weird space.
Yeah. So it's always about like figuring out like, okay, can I, like, if something happens and you need to, like, put that, like, staff hat on, will people sort of see you as, oh, yeah.
Will people respect you with the title
Exactly.
that you have?
But what she said is, like, people did. And I look back on it and I'm just like, hey, I'm a friendly guy. Like, I'm happy to get involved. I don't mind, like, helping out or, like, giving time to people, because I'm like, I actually like that. Personally, if I'm honest, I say this as my probation for my workplace is coming up, so hopefully they don't see this. But I personally, I'm not a big fan of, like, admin work. I'm a people person. I love talking to people. I love, like, speaking to them, learning about them, learning, like, what they do. So for me, being in those spaces is great. But when it comes to, like, doing the, like, other, like, anime style, I still do it well, but I love that sort of personal connection. And she was saying that's when it comes to, like, being a manager or, like, being a leader or, like, just being a person in general, like, having that connection is really good. So when it came to situations when I did have to, like, put that hat on, like, people, she said, like, people didn't mind because they were just like, yeah, like, you like relate, like, you relate to us. You don't act like you're not a student anymore, even though technically you're on placement, you're a staff member. And I was like, no, if I need to, then I will. But I was like, if everyone's chill, if everyone's good, no one's being rude, no one's being disrespectful, I was like, yeah, of course I'm going to be, like, on the same level as you, because I'm like, we're literally almost the same age, or, like, you might even be older than me. I can't then be like, you gotta go do this, or, like, because I was just like that. That's just not me, and that's not how I was raised. So I was, so yeah. I guess the long and short of it is, I definitely agree that, like, know who you are as a person and know what you want, because when it comes to jobs, I think especially as a recent graduate, you're just sometimes like, I need to just get into a workplace. Like, even if it sucks, I'm gonna work there, and then eventually I'll move. But I've always said, and even, like, I know sometimes my family find it sometimes funny, because I always say, like, if I don't like somewhere, I won't even look to apply there. If I don't like the job, I'm not applying. All the jobs I've applied for, I've been like, it's kind of interesting. Like, let me know more. Even, like I said, when I did the undergraduate placement, when I applied, like, my family were just like, oh, but, you know, it's not really related to your degree. It's not really about, like, environmental science. And I was like, yeah, I know. But I was just like, it sounds really cool. Like, I get to work with, like, young kids. I get to show off, like, STEM. I was like, I've been on programs like this, so I know, like, what worked and what didn't, what was boring and what was really interesting. And I was like, I get to talk about, like, my subject that I enjoy to other people. Because I guess, to end it, I've always said, like, when it comes to educating people, shouting from the rooftops or, like, being very vocal about it or, like, in people's faces can work, but most of the time people are just going to be like, you're irritating me, you're annoying me, I don't care. But I've said having that personal connection and, like, making it fun and engaging, people will turn around and be like, huh, you know, like, I didn't know this, or, oh, I'm interested to know a bit more. Because I've said, like, very last thing, because I've even said, like, with my graduation speech, like, I didn't want, and I keep saying I will, like, do an episode on it. I will find someone to interview me. Don't worry, it's coming. Hopefully before the end of the year. But I've always said that when it comes to the graduation speech, I never wanted it to be like, oh, my time at Brunel was this, I had a great time, this and that. Because I was like, I've been in those speeches, or I've been in speeches where, like, even if it's like award ceremonies, like, people just like, oh yeah, you know, like, I want to thank, like, these big people, and I'm just like, yeah, it's great you're thanking all these people, but also remember, like, especially when it comes to graduation speeches, like, I'm not even talking about, like, ones, like, I'm talking about international ones as well, like valedictorian speeches where you see, like, they're like, thank the faculty and thank this, and I'm just like, it's great, but you also got to remember there are people in the audience that are just like, I'm here and this speech is kind of boring. And I was like, I don't want anyone to, like, walk, like, to turn around and say, oh, you know, Jeffrey, your speech, like, I don't want anyone to be bored by my speech. So instead, I was just like, I think the most passionate thing that I can do is I can say, hey, look, we all don't know what we want to do when we graduate. But I was just like, just remember, hey, I was like, I got this quote. I got it from a game. I can make it seem like I'm super smart, and it's a Latin quote. So whenever I say it, people just like, "Wow, like, where'd you get it from?" I'm just like, I got it from a game. I do not know Latin, but it's Sig Parvis Magna, and I would love to say that that's my, like, technically it's Sir Francis Drake's quote. But I would love to say, like, if I could claim, like, if I could sum up my journey in anything, it would be that quote. Because that quote basically means greatness from small beginnings. And I said it in speech, I said it afterwards, like, for me, the most important thing for people to remember is things that, like, in a world where it seems like everything happens instantly for people, you've got to remember, it doesn't. And small beginnings, I think, are very powerful. They're very like impactful and they're very like real. So I've always said like when it comes to like your small beginnings, don't neglect that, because greatness will come from what you do. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, it might not even be for the next 5 or 10 years. But you'll see that people were really passionate about when you're consistent. Someone told me like when you're obsessed with what you do rather than just being like talented at it, people will want to know more about you, and greatness will come from it because you've got that passion.
And sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead.
I also, I don't like this idea of talent. I really don't like it, because I think it really casts aside the power and the I want to say the beauty that comes from hard work,
100%.
I got very, very good grades in almost all of my assignments at undergrad and all of my assignments at postgrad. And I would not call myself talented. No, I worked very, very, very hard, I chipped at it every day, and a lot of people were just like, oh yeah, Chrisyl, you always get good grades. No, Chrisyl doesn't always get good grades. Chrisyl works very, very, very fucking hard, and yeah, I guess, this idea of talent, okay, some people might be gifted in things, but I think that, chipping at things and practicing and nurturing skills and like kind of crafting things is more, I don't know how to explain this. It's more realistic, 100%. And it makes the whole thing about like studying a lot more realistic, because if you single people out by saying some people are talented and some people are not, that tells the people that are not talented that they can't achieve, and that's not the case. It's not about that. It's hard work. It's good work ethic. Actually, that is what reaps good grades. So yeah,
no, definitely agree. And it's just like I joked about it before about the grind, but like sometimes it is just like just keep working at it. Like like I've said. I might do it. I keep saying I'm doing loads of episodes. I might do an episode about it because, I do say like even like this year, like there's been a lot of things that I've applied for, and like maybe I've gotten to the final, or I've gotten like into the voting stage and I haven't won, and obviously like in the moment it's disheartening, and it sucks, and especially when you've been like keep on going at, you keep on applying. But there's two things that always stick with me. Is one, I love people that like either like throw shade, throw a bit of hate, or don't rate me, because I'm like, just watch. Like I'm gonna do big things, and you're still gonna be there hating. But two, I think one thing that I really do like is I like not getting things instantly, because I think a lot of people, and even with like the entrepreneur series you've got, Hustle Chronicles, again, check it out. One of the things that I said with that is I want that whole series to be about, yes, like we're interviewing like people who are like up and coming entrepreneurs and all of this, but I want you to know that like their business like isn't smooth sailing. Like no one has like that like, oh yeah, like I applied for this, I got like 10k funding and now I'm like a multi-millionaire. Like no, I'm just like I'm here like just like pick up the mic, like we're self-funded at the moment. Like we've been self-funded from the start. And I say like every time I apply for something and I don't get it, I'm like, cool, there's gonna be someone out there that's gonna listen to like, who's gonna hear my story, and they're gonna be like, wow, like you do all of this and like you're not getting paid, you're not getting sponsored, you're not getting this and that. I'm just like, yeah, I don't, but I do it, and I come back every day because I'm like, I enjoy doing it. I like what I do. So yeah, that's basically my whole sum up of everything. But yes, I know you wanted to ask me some questions, Chrisyl. So
yeah, I'm curious about the whole podcasting thing, and I wanted to know how you got into it, and yeah.
I find it funny every time I say, like, when I get asked this, because I tell everyone, people think that, oh yeah, like you must, they get surprised when I tell them I did not study any media studies, and I do not have a background in podcasting. The podcast basically started because sort of linking to this idea of like applying for things and not getting it. So all the way back in October 2020, the union was doing votes to be the BME officer at the student union. And I was like, so I didn't apply at first. I think they resent it out because they were just like, no one's applied for the role. Like, if you're interested, apply. And obviously, like, with the year that 2020 was, like, I think I was just like, yeah, no, like, I got to, like, get out of there. I got to do something. So yeah, it came to the voting, like, people voted, and then I didn't get it. And I was like, oh, this kind of sucks. But I was just like, wow, like there were just like a lot of people who didn't know about stuff like at Brunel. So like whether it's the professional development center that can help you with CVs and cover letters, whether it's that like Brunel's entrepreneur team has a yearly competition where you can win funding for your business, whether it's like the different like the Ask service that can help you with like literature like skills and stuff like that, whether it's what like the library can offer you or whatever, like all these things at Brunel that I was like, yeah, like I know about this, and people just like, wow, I didn't know like this existed, and I was like, yeah, you like your course didn't tell you. So it originally was going to start. So two friends of mine that helped me like with the campaigning, I was like, hey, look, I've got this idea to do like a online Zoom series. I also realized when I said online, like you can't do an in-person Zoom series, but I was like, a Zoom series basically on like interviewing people. It's called Pick Up the Mic, and it was all going to be about like just getting people on having a conversation on a Zoom call. People can join, ask questions, we record it, and then just leave it like that. Came to like the first like event we were going to do, and then it was like coming towards it, and at the time we didn't like, well, we weren't selling tickets. We just wanted people to register so we could know like we weren't going to just send out tickets to like random people. So it came to the first thing, and I was like, we didn't have a lot of people registered, and I like told everyone, hey, look, like I know a lot of people have registered, but I don't think it's because like what we're doing is bad. I was just like, I think the honest truth is people are just tired of Zoom meetings, because I was just like, I'm so tired of like attending, like if you were a student between 2020 to I'd say almost 2022, you would have had at the minimum some online lectures, but at the maximum most of your lectures for your academic year was online. So for me, I was just like, I hate Zoom meetings. I'm tired of joining meetings where people don't turn their leave their mics on, even though repeatedly they're being told mute your mics. I'm tired of joining meetings where people like sometimes leave their cameras on, and it's just like not in a good angle, and people just like, look, sorry mate, your camera's on, like we can see everything, and people just like, oh sorry, like I was like, the awkwardness of Zoom calls just really annoyed me. So I said, why not? Let's just try podcasting. And I was like, I've never done it. I'd like looked into it, and I said, okay, cool. Like I found this platform we could use. I said, like, let's just record it on Zoom. So it was myself, my friend Samuel, and my friend Anushka. And I was just like, hey, look, like let's just do one episode and just see like where it goes. I joke about it now, but I didn't know it until like afterwards. On our first episode, there's like a 4-minute gap halfway, like towards the start, mainly because when I was editing the audio, I didn't see it. So when I look back on it, I find it really funny because there were a lot of things with it. Like as an episode, it was a really good topic. It was all about like how to follow your passion in a difficult world. I give props to Samuel because he I joke that when it comes to like that episode, I did not plan to have it like research. It was just going to be like, oh, just chat about stuff. But he had like a plan. He researched. He was like bringing, he had like everything. And it was just funny because when we look back on it, we're just like, yeah, literally, we're just all at home recording it on Zoom. We had our cameras off to boost the Wi-Fi. And we just all found it funny because we were just like, yeah, you know, like we sound like kind of awkward. We all don't like listening to that first episode because we're just like, oh gosh, like hearing your own voice just, But yeah, now I look back on it and I'm just like, wow, like where it's gone. Like we've gone from just being one podcast to now a multitude of podcasts talking about both professional and personal development, but also like things that we know students and basically our general audience are passionate about. So like gaming and anime and sci-fi and fantasy. So to me, the message is still ultimately the same of like encouraging people, showing them the opportunities available to them, like giving them an opportunity to come onto the podcast and speak about stuff that's they're passionate about. But I think the overall lesson that I've like learned is that it's just like get started because like people, like I said, people look at me and they're just like, wow man, you know all this software, like you edit, like I tell them I edit all the podcasts, I post about it. Like if you see a message or post from Pick Up the Mic Network on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, like that's me. And people just like, wow, like you're posting this, you're doing this. And I'm like, yeah. And they're just like, oh wow, like you must have like a media background, or you must like have like a sibling who's like knows all this stuff. And I was like, no, like everything I do with the podcast, like the microphone, the equipment, like all of this stuff, I've had to learn how to use like over time. So it's not been like easy, and like I say, I look back. There's a lot like we joked about it at the start. Obviously, we were at Comic-Con. There's a Comic-Con video that's going to come out. If it's not out already by the time this is out, that video I joke about because there was a time when the microphone wasn't working, and the same thing happened when we did the Comic-Con video in May. But I'm just like, I'm learning. Like as a team, we're learning. We're trying new things. So I'm very happy where we are. Yeah, the team has grown. It's everyone's happy to be there. Like we work with like Brunel to bring on like interns that can like learn a bit more about podcasting and filming and get filming hours to contribute to one of their modules. And for me, I just look back and I'm just like, yeah, if you told me like when we started like 2 years ago, literally coming up to our 3rd birthday in March next year, and I was just like, if you told me 2 years ago, that like, yeah, it would like A, I'd still be doing it. 2, B, it would have grown, and C, like we'd also be at a stage where we're actually like now applying for funding. We're like speaking to like people who are bigger, like big people in the industry, as well as like students, and still keeping that message, because I think sometimes when you get that like we're not like super famous, but like when you get that fame and stuff, like you can sort of like go away from like, oh yeah, now we'll get like bigger people interested, we're going to bring them in and ignore like everyone else. But because we still keep to that mission and that vision, to me, I'm just like, yeah, if you told me 2 years ago like it would grow to this, I would be like, yeah, maybe, like we'll see how it goes. Even I joke that like YouTube was just like we're only on YouTube because Samuel was just like, just give it a go. Our 2nd season, we started recording video, and he was just like, yeah, just give it a go. I was like, I don't know, people might not like it. We said it on podcast, people might not like a video podcast. And he was like, if it goes on YouTube, if people like it, it's going to pop off. And I was like, okay, let's see. And it did. So a lot of the things that we do is literally just like spur of the moment. Maybe we're all just like chilling and talking about the podcast. Maybe literally, which happens a lot of the time, it's just Jeffrey just like, you see someone, he's just like, we got to do this. Like, we're now going to do this, guys. Like, what do you think? But yeah, so yeah, that's basically the whole story behind Pick Up the Mic. Just not being a BME officer, but wanting to continue the plans that I had for that. And we're still growing, still learning, but we're at a good place.
I find that quite inspiring because there's lots of projects and things that I want to start, and your words, and also I met a photographer yesterday. Her name's Vinka Peterson. I shared with her some of the projects that I want to start and things like that, and she had said to me, the biggest thing that stops people is fear. It's like the fear of getting it wrong, or the fear of judgment, or the fear of being ridiculed. But those things don't actually matter. 100%. And it's like, when you start a project or when you start something, you don't start it being completely good at it. You start it not knowing at all what you're doing. And after, it kind of, as you chip at it and you keep going and you've got that hard work ethic that is quite, you keep the momentum, it kind of forms itself into something beautiful without you really, it just, it forms itself. But yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, mental health is really important to us at Pick Up the Mic, and we love to share resources that can support your mental health. And that's why we are so glad to have today's sponsor. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get you started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live appointments when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't right for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at an affordable price. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/pickupthemic. I've also linked them down below in the description. So again, that's betterhelp.com/pickupthemic, MIC, and start your journey today. But yeah, I think to wrap it up, I think to sort of add to what you were saying, it's just like just start. I've always said that like sometimes even the podcast like distributor that we use, Buzzsprout, they said like there's this tendency that like people, well, two things. One, when people start a podcast, it never goes past their second episode because a lot of people are just like you said, they're looking so focused on like the like how many people listen.
The end goal.
They're just like, oh, we need to like grow big like instantly. And they said like even to get past your first episode, to get past your second episode is an achievement because a lot of people just stop. But also they were saying like, and to be honest, I can agree to this, is sometimes you're just like, oh yeah, this like random person from secondary school, like they might be like, wow, like, oh, you started a podcast. Oh, like it's kind of, that's kind of weird. Like, what are you doing? But yeah, I look back on it and I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't listen to, like you said, like listen to those thoughts and just go out there and try it because, yeah, like I said, like I love video editing. I love doing stuff like this. And I love podcasting because I get to meet a lot of amazing people that are doing like incredible work. And yes, people might say, oh, you can go to networking events and like do all of that cool stuff. And I'm not saying like networking events are bad. I go to them myself. But what I really like about the podcast is it's more of like a personal thing. It's more like getting to know people on a personal level. Yeah, like I said, I've met people that I've learned like incredible things about like their story, about what they do. And I think, like you said, like it's always great to hear, even like today, to learn about things about people, and you're just like, wow, like you're doing all this incredible work. Like as you mentioned, you're going to be in a book. That's incredible. So yeah, I think for me, it's just like to look back on it and to see like all these cool stuff that people are doing. I'm like, yeah, there's so much that people do, but I would never have got that opportunity if I hadn't started. And I look back on it now and I'm like, there are so many people that I tell like, yeah, if you want to do a podcast, you want to be a content creator, like whatever, like just do it because if you always think, oh, like, what are people going to think? How is it going to look? Like, even I wouldn't say argue. I discussed it with my sister of like, even like some of the stuff that I do on the podcast, sometimes I'm literally just like, yeah, I'm going to try it. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So even like, I'm sure people are wondering where our dating series has gone. As I've said, I have left Brunel, so it means I'm not there as much. But I promise, because Jazz, who was my co-host for that, or she still is, she's asking about it. So it's coming back. But even like that, that was literally just something that just like, it was a thought. Like, the co-host, like Jazz, she was just like, oh, like it'll be really good to like she came on to, actually, so no one told you about it, and discussed like dating at uni, and I was like, wow, it's a really good conversation. Like, you know, I know as a uni student, like there are a lot of misconceptions, but also people sort of feel like there's this like typical like, oh, I'm gonna go to, like, literally, I've told you, TV shows and films have sold you lies and like fakeness about like, you're gonna go to uni, you're gonna find the one, get married, like
life is not like that.
Yeah, honestly, they're like, you're gonna graduate.
It's nothing new.
Exactly. So for even like everything we do on the podcast, like I tell everyone, as you will agree, that, you know, when you come on, like be honest and like tell the truth. Like I've said embarrassing stories about myself. Other people have, because like it's that realness that really
it forms like a very organic like conversation, and it makes it very relatable.
100%. But yeah, we've come to the end of this episode, which it's been a really good conversation.
I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. Fortunately, we're recording, they are closing soon, so they will kick us out if we don't leave. But it's been really good to learn more about, like, not only, I guess, what you're doing, what you've done, but also I guess like those bits of motivations that we've discussed, which I really appreciated. If people want to know more about you, they want to connect, how can they do that?
LinkedIn, Instagram, you can share those. Message me on LinkedIn. I will happily answer any questions about anthropology. It is the best thing ever. But I'll also tell you all the things that are not so great about it, because I think that's important too. But LinkedIn. Instagram.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Cool. And yeah, thank you to you, our wonderful audience, for coming back. I do actually have an outro, and I realised I didn't read it, so I'm going to quickly read it. So yeah, all things must come to an end, and this is the end of today's episode. It's been great, Chrisyl, speaking to you and having you on the podcast today, because yeah, like I said, learning about anthropology, your journey, like you said, like the highs, the lows, like stuff you've learned and developed through those experiences has been really good. Thank you to you, our wonderful audience, for coming back to another episode. If you like this episode, like, comment, and subscribe is always appreciated. If you want to if you want to know when our other episodes, whether it's So No One Told You or any of our other like student development and wellbeing podcasts will be coming out, then please make sure you click the notification bell at the bottom of the video so you don't miss it. Finally, if you're interested in receiving, if you're interested in receiving some perks as well as supporting the podcast, you can do so through either our Patreon page, which is linked down below, or you can join our YouTube channel membership page, which is down below as well. You get early access to episodes, you get to suggest some topics, you get to even possibly be on the podcast. Yeah, we're expanding things for those, so please do check them out. And lastly, if you want to know more about our other channels, as I mentioned, we've sort of spread out our content, so to speak. So if you want to know about the two Maesters, you've been watching the episodes and been wondering why the episodes haven't been on our main channel, then please do check out the two Maesters channel on YouTube. If you want to know more about anime, please check out our anime podcast that started. As I mentioned, we're going to be uploading some clips from both the May Comic-Con that we went to, but also the one in October that was just last week, so make sure that you follow that. That's Senseis of Anime on YouTube. And finally, if you want to know more about the world of gaming, I know I have neglected it. Yes, gaming has, like I said, life's been a lot this year, but we will do a gaming episode, at least one, for the end of the year, and I promise we will get back to hosting it a bit more regularly. But yes, if you want to know more about the world of gaming, you want to see some of our old episodes, please, you want to see, actually we recorded with funnily enough, someone that was on the podcast from Comic-Con, but I will leave that to be revealed when the episode comes out. Please do check out Pick Up the Controller on YouTube as well. And if you're looking to where you can find out all of these stuff, if you click on the Pick Up the Mic like YouTube and see our like channel, you'll see it right at the top. It says featured, and it's got all the 3 channels there as well. So you don't have to make sure that you're writing it down right now. You can just click there and it will all be there. But yeah, that's it from us here today. We're gonna close. I don't have a sound like closing, so instead I'm just gonna play some nice music to like outro me. But yeah, you can find out more. So I've got to turn it that loud. I think I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'm gonna turn it down a bit because it is kind of loud on the headphones. But yeah, you can find out more things that you didn't know before about uni. Yeah, also let us know, because we're kind of doing something different. We're coming towards like the 10 episode mark, and I know usually that's when we like either start a new season or we might continue. So if you want it to be that you want us to talk about different things at other universities, please do let us know in the comments. But if you prefer to just keep it as like a constant going thing of like, and diversify outside of Brunel, so keep the series running and not just focus at Brunel, please let me know. But yeah, that's it from us here. It's been a pleasure to have you all with us today, and we will see you the next time we learn something we didn't know. Wishing you all the best and have a great day.